nothing is ever taken away from us unless it's replaced with something better.
If you look at a baby once it's first born, it's like looking into a diamond, sparkling diamond.
I've seen a lot of amazing miracles in emergency departments.
Hi, welcome to Remarkable Healings. This is a show about empowerment and obtaining the tools for higher consciousness and healing. And today we have a very special guest, a person that affected me very much when I met him. And I would like you to introduce him. He's got a very unusual name, long name, but I'm going to try and get this. Doinyo Laetoli le Baaba. Okay, and maybe you want to repeat that, Babba.
Yeah, it's just Doinyo Laetoli le Baaba.
Great, and he is an Animus and Cultural Preservationist. And we'll be discussing that, but I'll tell you one thing which is amazing about Babba is that he grew up right here in Los Angeles, and in South Central Los Angeles in the 40s, and has lived and studied and was initiated by 16 indigenous tribes around the world. So we're going to be talking about some of our roots to indigenous teachings and maybe how we can reconnect with them. So Babba, maybe you can tell us what animus means. I always wanted to know.
Yeah, animism is a term that identifies the way that all indigenous people believe, think, and live. What it actually is an understanding that everything lives. We're taught and we're guided to believe that there is animate, living, and inanimate, non-living.
So that's what the animus is, the living then.
Yes. Animus is a person that follows the belief in animism, which is the system of realizing and understanding that all lives without exception.
Right.
Not only does it live, but it's intelligent. It has a mind and a soul. And that way it's connected to everything and everyone as a conscious, living entity.
Well, I believe in that. I believe in being very connected. And however, it seems like in this day and age, with so many distractions, a lot of people tell me they don't feel connected very much, and that they're really nervous and anxiety-ridden. And how would someone try to get in touch with a root of their self, let's say? Because, I mean, we don't have real ancestors here. I mean, if I was going to go to my ancestors, I'd go to Germany, because I'm from Germany, right?
The easiest way is to try and find the answers to 3 questions. Who am I? What am I? And why am I? Without using the physical to be able to answer these questions. The ancestor is actually the spiritual essence, the essential root that is the foundation of everything. Everything. The ancestral is the consciousness. The ancestral is the spiritual and the foundation, you might say, of all physical existence. Physics helps us to look at that. In Einstein's theory of relativity, we are told that E equals mc squared. All energy equals mass squared by the velocity of light. So what this is saying, that all matter is energy, and all energy is matter. Interestingly, the first law of thermodynamics tells us that matter or energy cannot ever be created or destroyed, but is only transformed. So what this is essentially saying to us is that there was never a time that I or you did not exist. There will be no time, and can be no time, that you and I will not exist. Yet, because all existence is at its root energy.
So we're at our root energy.
So that root is connected to the reality of all physical existence. This as the ecological balance that we're looking for.
Right.
This is the unity that we're looking for.
Right.
This is the spiritual self that we're searching for. This is the conscious realization of reality that we're philosophizing and theorizing about in every religion and in every philosophy.
So this sounds like at this particular time, with this kind of understanding, all the root races can then maybe gather together and join into a common sharing, right? Would you
A
say?
common sense of being.
Right, right.
But we must realize that this is not so much a being as it is a state of being.
Right, the state of being, okay.
Okay.
Because everybody, especially in religions, try to personalize a God outside of themselves, right? And we're not talking about that here.
No, we're not. But that is an instrument or a means by which we can deal with the reality of an omnipresent, omniprevalent, omniscient reality which we call God. That God, which we would identify through most religion, is actually an identification of the root nature of everything. Everything, you see. You see. Hinduism makes it very interesting and gives us some means by which we can really look into the depth of what that is really saying, in that in Hinduism you have the concept of God, but in its ultimate reality, it has more than 999,000 names and ways to be perceived. And each one is real. So then you end up with pantheism, panentheism, and monotheism at the same time as being polytheism. You see? But then each religion gives that.
I see, yes.
In its esoteric doctrine. In Islam, you have that with the Sufi teachings and the understanding of Islam through Sufi. In Christianity, you have that in your Gnostic understanding of the Christian principles or the Christian ideas. In Judaism, you have that with the Sephirah, the animation of Elohim, Adonai. So it's there. It's just that we have to look beyond the exoteric, the superficial or external, into the esoteric, which is the hidden or the secret.
The secret inside ourselves.
Exactly. Well, inside everything.
And inside everything, exactly. So, so there's internal, external, like there is a relationship that's a constant between us and the exterior. So as we're breathing, life is breathing into us, and we're breathing out. So we have so this thing, because a lot of times it's easy to become very self-centered, in your practice, when you're meditating and you're really, trying to work these problems out in your head and stuff. All of a sudden, you're very much into the inner workings. But we have to understand that the exterior is also a reflection of who we are. And the thing that recently that has been a challenge for me is to love the entire existence as we know it, as we see it, and as we feel it. And that becomes very difficult because of what is going on around us. I was wondering, is there any kind of teaching that could help us with that?
Well, it's all in understanding love. Love is not what we have been led to believe it to be. Love is a state of existence that we get in touch with through the positive and the negative. You see? We are in the misconception that there's such a thing as unconditional love. And we believe that to be the highest goal, or the highest achievement. However, that cannot exist.
I remember you saying that before. Yes, it's very interesting. So continue, please.
You see, there is nothing in existence that exists without having condition, qualification, or limitation.
But is this the kind of conditioning that we give, that we place upon things?
It's the kind that we place on, and the kind that we're placed in, and the kind that is, whether we do anything or not.
Right.
It's a principle, it's a state, it's a reality that is the underlying reality that's not qualified by how we perceive or believe about it. It simply is an immutable principle.
Right.
Okay? That is the foundation and the basis of all mutable principles. You see, it's the principal that is the foundation of all principles.
Right.
And so it is the dynamic law, the universal law, that encompasses all other laws, you see. And so with that, then the love is a natural state of existence.
I see.
Natural state of being, and it is the root foundation of all existence.
Right, right.
Positive or negative.
Right.
Even hate is a form of love.
Yes, I see.
It's just the absence of the consciousness that allows it to be used or allows it to be understood.
Right.
As love.
Understood, exactly. That is a good question. I mean, a key point. I mean, but because Miguel Ruiz says, it is important to know your feelings, that your feelings aren't something you're supposed to stuff or you're supposed to be concerned about. You should understand your feelings and be able to get to the root of your feelings. Don't cut them off or don't think that they're bad. They hate can be seemingly bad, but there is a story behind that hate. And it's good to follow what that story is, because if you get to the root of the story, you'll find where the conclusiveness or what would be a good way of explaining that?
Well,
I guess the root of that.
It's been said that all there is God.
Right.
Spirit, God, is all there is. There is no reality other than that. Hence, omnipresence, all present. Omniprevalent, all prevailing. Omniscient, all knowing, and omnipotent, all powerful. Well, that all is not anything other than all. It doesn't exclude or allow for the exclusion of any conceivable reality. So it's all good.
Exactly. Yes.
Relative.
Now, and I would, the thing about unconditional love kind of stirred me up when you talked about it last time when I first saw you. Because, I'm thinking, well, what about unconditional love for ourselves? I mean, so we can be able to forgive ourselves. how does that work out?
Well, we have to understand who our self is.
Yeah, okay.
I, me, and my is myself? Well, in a relative sense, yes. Okay? In a relative sense, in the mundane way of understanding things, yes, that's true. But the reality of that self is a self that's not separate or different from any self, because there's only one self, capital S, self, which is the spiritual, which is the essential, or the ancestral identity of things. Being in touch with that, then you are beginning to feel an entouchment with everything. There's an ancient saying in Africa amongst shaman, and it says that there are 3 hierarchies of consciousness. The first is that of the tree. The second is that of the animal. And the third and last is that conscious level of the human being. Now, we need to maybe understand here that intelligence is not the same as consciousness.
Okay.
Consciousness does not need to be intelligent. It just is.
Yes, okay.
It's a state of being that is aware of its being without needing to intellectualize or to rationalize its state of being. It just is. So that primal intelligence is that primal consciousness that's inherent in every cell, molecule, or atom. Hence, we come back to animism, you see, because this is showing us that everything is living, everything is animate.
Now, you just mentioned about shamanism. Now, I know you studied with many shamanic tribes, and I know everybody out there is going to wonder how you came about your the ornaments that you're wearing, and so I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about that.
Well, first of all, a shaman is not something that's learned or something that's made or created. A shaman is born. The term shaman literally means the representative or that which represents the ancestor, that which represents life. All life is identified as ancestor, not just human, you know, but all life. And this is where animism becomes totemism. Your totem is that which you personally may relate to, or your particular tribal heritage or community or society in life relates to a certain identity of things or a certain identity of inspiration.
Right.
Okay?
That's
And
that
so,
little bit of conditioning we talked about.
Exactly.
Is our totem. Yeah, okay.
and so my blessing has been to be able to live amongst various indigenous people, and with that, to have been initiated into their understanding and their relation with their totem. You see? And so with that, there are certain initiations physically and mentally that must be given. And so a lot of what you see is the result of that, which is why also I don't represent just one people or one tribe, even though my bloodline, my genetic line is from the Maasai, from East Africa. But I identify with much more than any particular tribe or any one cultural identity. And so my consciousness has developed in this life as a result of what had developed in a previous life, you see. And so I was born for this.
I see.
And so my life has been only the development of this, which is still a process. It doesn't end.
Right.
You see, because my next life will be the result of this life.
And so when did you discover this?
I first became aware of this when I was about 14. Yeah, I was about 14 years old. And it was interesting to be growing up in Los Angeles because I had the three questions that I mentioned very strong in my thinking, which was, who am I? What and why am I? Who am I as a black man, as a black young man? Mm-hmm. Who am I and what am I as a human being? Mm-hmm. Who am I and what am I and why am I having the experience in life that I'm having? Mm. What's the purpose? Mm-hmm. What's the motive? What's the reason? But, these questions are very abstract mm-hmm. when you try to find the answer. Mm-hmm. Okay, the answers are very abstract. And so you have to become able to see the reality in your everyday living, in your everyday experience, mm-hmm. and begin to answer these questions mm-hmm. through your experience mm-hmm. of the things around you, the people around you, and the challenges that life presents to you. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah. So with that, you begin to go beyond the limitations and the barriers of culture, race, society, even gender.
So what time did you go to Africa with the Maasai tribe?
This was not until my mid-30s.
Okay.
Yeah. My first trek was to India.
Okay.
Yeah. So for that reason, I consider India to be my spiritual mother.
Okay.
While Africa I consider to be my cultural father.
I see.
And America mm-hmm. is my foster parent.
I see. Yeah. As many of ours successfully. Yes.
So, I find that wherever I go in the world, I'm at home. Mm-hmm. Because I see that no matter where I am or what I'm experiencing is actually the same truth and the same reality of existence mm-hmm. and of being. It's just a matter of surrendering to the point to where you can really get in touch with that. Mm-hmm. And that surrendering is an egotistical surrender. Mm-hmm. We must be willing and able to surrender our ego.
Yes, that's true.
It's a hard thing. Yeah.
Yes. It's a constant practice, let me tell you. Yeah. Right.
All concepts or ideas of identity.
Yeah.
I, me, my versus you, your, yours. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yet the ego, I don't think is something that we need to destroy.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Or renunciate.
Right.
Most religions speak of renunciation of the ego. I think that with a deeper understanding of renunciation or destruction is an understanding of redirection.
Yeah.
Not destroying anything.
Yes.
Not renouncing anything, but redirecting.
Redirecting and kind of transforming.
Everything.
Yes.
Everything, without exception.
Yeah.
And that is even a harder task.
Yes. Well, it's something that takes perseverance, and you have to be on it, that's for sure. Mm-hmm. Now, people are going to be asking about all your, what some people might call jewelry or adornment, and I remember you telling me there's a specific purpose.
Oh, yeah. Each ornamentation or artifact has a specific reason, a specific meaning. It would take time, maybe more time than we have to go into each one, but just to give an example, the earlobes that are pierced and stretched, they have to do with using the meridian system, which is a system of electromagnetic energy that runs through our body, through our nerves, and is connected to all tissue and all organs, as well as to our etheric or psychic level of consciousness. When we pierce the body or tattoo or wear ornaments or jewelry, we're actually stimulating some of this electromagnetic energy. The earlobe, as an example, is a piercing that directly stimulates the meridian that connects to the base of the spine.
I see.
That stimulation causes the cerebral fluid to rise and put pressure on the base of the skull. That awakens the pituitary and the pineal gland.
Right. So people who are, putting piercings in the body, maybe they don't know, but maybe subconsciously, maybe from some ancient time within their previous life, possibly, they're getting indications of maybe of turning on these centers.
Yeah. We believe that there are no accidents.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
And so people that are piercing simply because it's fashion or fad or something that they choose to do or feel inspired, we feel that they are actually being guided by the ancestral spirits for the purpose of unification, for the purpose of a more well-rounded identification, whether they are conscious or not of that fact. It's still a principle that the ancestors are using to awaken us and to bring us more in harmony with the ecology and with each other.
So, Babba, I was wondering, is there something like parting words you could give us?
Know thyself. Know thyself.
Yes. Well, that's definitely a constant process with me. And I really enjoyed you being here today. And I always love talking with you. I bet that a lot of our viewers will have an interesting viewpoint about indigenous teachings. So thank you very much, and thank you for being with us, and see you next time. Have a great day. Bye-bye.